This is the plan? I think this is the plan.
So I'm gonna have everybody try to follow along with me.
Yeah, this
real
is
quick.
it
So
right here.
Palpatine needs Padme dead, but he doesn't want to do it himself. So he asks Count Dooku to go kill Padme, but Count Dooku doesn't want to do it himself. So Count Dooku asks Jango Fett to go kill Padme, but Jango Fett doesn't want to do it himself. So he asks his shapeshifter friend to go kill Padme, but the shapeshifter sends a robot to go kill Padme. And if you really want to be an asshole and get even more granular, the droid says, I'll send these little bugs to go kill Padme. Palpatine sends a man who sends a man who sends a shapeshifter who sends a robot who sends bugs to go kill Padme. And what's even funnier is that after they chase the robot and the shapeshifter, Jango has a chance to go kill Padme. But instead, he goes
this
out
is
of
this
his
is
way
gearing.
to assassinate the person he hired to assassinate Padme.
This is gearing right
Secretly
here.
Genius these prequels are. Many original ideas these movies have.
The plan was trash. Yo, what is up, guys? Shinobi here, back again with another video for you guys. And today we're doing a reaction to the worst gearing system in Gacha games made by Saichi. I hope I said his name right. I'm gonna leave the link down to his video down below. But we're talking about the worst gearing system in Gacha games. And before he even starts this video, it automatically goes to Genshin, because holy crap, I could yap all day about how garbage that system is, but I'm going to just give you some small details, and if you've played Genshin, you know what I'm talking about. So, with gearing in Genshin, just gearing, not even just like the talent materials, we could talk about that in you can make a whole video yapping about that, but just gearing alone, you already got to deal with the fact that there's flat HP, just flat stats in general, not to mention the fact, just the fact that you can't choose what set you want. And yes, I know that, yeah, Honkai Star Rail has the same thing. Withering Waves... Actually, Withering Waves doesn't have that problem. My bad. But Honkai Star Rail also has that system, and who knows if they're going to fix it or not. But it's just the fact... Wait, does Honkai Star... No, I think Honkai Star Rail lets you choose, does it? No, yeah. Never mind, I lied. Never mind. Honkai Star Rail lets you choose... I forgot. Honkai Star Rail lets you choose what set you want to farm for. I keep forgetting they let you do that. But Genshin, it's like, you gotta deal with the flat HP, the flat stats, and all that other crap. Plus, on top of that, the fact that they just give you garbage rules with the defense and all that percentage. But then, on top of all of that, you gotta deal with the fact that just trying to grind for those materials is boring as hell. Like, there's no auto system, which makes sense because it is an open world RPG, but just, like, it's boring. And not to mention, even though you got all those gears, there's no, like, loadout. Or, like, I think they just recently added, I don't know, I might be wrong. But I think they just recently added it to where you could sort your artifacts. I might be wrong, somebody comment down below if I am. But if they didn't, that was a problem back then, too. I haven't played Genshin in, like, a year or two now at this point. But, like, it's a problem, bro. And that's not even talking about talent materials, which we can go into. But honestly, the fact that you gotta wait a certain day just to power up your character's talent, just so they do damage. Like, you can give them to level 90 and everything, and still be garbage because their talents ain't doing much. Yeah, it's a lot, so...
If there's one thing that kills my excitement,
I'm really curious on where he says, as far as gearing systems, like what he ranks the worst and what's the worst.
Withering Waves' echo abilities, Nikke's overload gear,
Nikke's peak.
Frontline 2's weapon attachments. From farming RNG relic substats to a separate equipment banner to pull from the gacha game market has progressed to a point where at least some of these systems are in place one way or another. Mobile games are in nature live service, and most people understand that there must be some form of player retention in place in the game mechanics to keep you coming back daily. I doubt most people enjoy farming artifacts or grinding the living hell out of endgame upgrades. At most, it's something to be tolerated. Now, I played a number of gacha games to this day, and something I wanted to answer is, how bad can a gearing system get? How messy can the web of upgrades to keep?
Bro, if you want the worst gearing system in the games that I've played so far, I've played Bleach Brave Souls, I've played all of the Hoyoverse games. Like, I've even played, believe it or not, for anybody who was watching my channel way back when, I played through, you know, Genshin Impact. I played through, what was it, Honkai Impact 3rd, which the story for that game was actually kind of decent, a little bit. Like, it was long as hell, though, and I didn't know half the stuff going on. It was definitely good, though. Like Kiana and freaking Raiden May and all of them, I still like those characters to this day, and I'm actually hilariously laughing about like Broya and all of them. I'm laughing about the fact that they got all kind of like separate personalities in Honkai Star Rail, but you know, Honkai Impact 3rd, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Bleach Brave Souls, Epic 7, Summoner's War, Soccer Spirits, for anybody who remembers that game. It ain't dead, but it's basically dead because they ain't updated it no more, but rip to that game. Um, um, rip to freaking Naruto Blazing. Holy crap, for anybody who remembers that game, you're a freaking legend. Dragon Ball, was it Dragon Ball Dokkan? I think Dokkan's pretty alright. I don't know, bro. I don't feel like I have a problem getting gear in that game or like stuff to equip my characters. I don't feel like I have a problem in that game. But I digress. I played through a lot of games, and I gotta say, the most painful one that I've ever had to deal with is Genshin. Like even Epic 7 with its garbage rolls when you're trying to get speed it's like it's a gear game anyways. Like it's better than having to worry about getting a certain character. Because you can have all the characters in the world in Epic 7, and if you don't got your gear right, you're cooked, you know, when it comes to ranks. I could go crazy on what Epic 7 needs to do, because they're struggling right now, honestly. I still don't know why they haven't implemented more skins in the game, so they could get money that way, and more merchandise, honestly. Because if they were to get those two things down, they wouldn't have to worry about selling packs all the damn time. Because honestly, you don't even need the packs. Like, the packs are for, like, the whales. But even then, like, you could just play through the game and still easily hit masters without having to do all that. But I'm yapping too much here.
Track of beat. In this video, I want to split each category of how a gacha game implements its retention mechanics into 5 different tiers, all with varying types of ways to retain you as a player to come back. After introducing this list, I also want to answer the question of which game I believe has the worst gearing system I've seen so far. My name is Psyche, and let's get back on the grind. So first, there's some rules and definitions I want to set regarding how different gearing systems work. The success of a live service game is often measured in a metric called daily active users.
DAU, boys.
I personally find it pretty intriguing that this term borrowed from software
DAU is what, you know, well, no, I'm thinking of the wrong chart, but that's why you be seeing those, you know, certain YouTubers and whatnot that be making daily gacha updates on, you know, which games are doing well and whatnot. You be seeing the numbers, bro. Because, once again, a game lives or dies in the mobile game space by its daily active users, bro. If you ain't got enough people playing your game, you're cooked. And especially if they get... Like, whales, believe it or not, while people hate them so much, whales literally save the game. Whales are the reason why these gacha games exist. Like, all those people... You be talking about, like, people be joking about, like, the Middle East and how they got those $1 million rich people, you know, be spending money on gacha games just because they can. Those are the people keeping these games alive, bro. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Let alone, like, the casual player base and everything. Yeah, sure, those people keep the game alive. But the whales are the things that keep these games alive, bro. The whales and the diehards, those people, they keep those games running.
Development refers to players as users. Since these games are free to download and play, they need to find some way to engage and monetize its player base through other means. In an ideal scenario, DAU should hold steady and even gradually increase over time. One of the necessary evils given birth through the live service model is the gearing system. Regardless of how it's implemented,
Epic 7's struggling right now, bro. They need to put some skins in there.
Usually in a gacha game,
they need to
there can
put
be
some
one
merch
or
out
two
there, bro,
secondary
because they are
ways in which a
struggling.
character can be upgraded, if you ignore primary methods like leveling them or their skills. Those two secondary ways are equipment and relics. I define equipment as a single piece of equipable gear to a unit. It works independently from other gear and can often be swapped out freely. The equipment can either be a weapon or apparel of sorts, but there's little to no RNG involved in either obtaining it or how it functions. Well, unless you count pulling it from the gacha if that applies. This is pretty straightforward if you play any MiHoYo games. Most equipment in gacha games can either be pulled from the gacha or earned in some way for free.
Honestly, I want to know, chat, for these guys who are watching this video with me right now, what do you guys think is like the worst gearing system out of any game you've played before as far as gacha games? I want to know. Actually, Summoner's War was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't played that game since I was in middle school, but that game was pretty rough, bro. Like, I'm gonna be real with y'all. That game was rough when it came to gearing. Holy crap.
I define relics as pieces of gear coming in more than sets of one that can be slotted into a character to enhance their stats or abilities. There's some form of RNG elements to them, either the method in which it's farmed or any substats that they may be able to roll. It's the combination of all relic pieces that gives you a desired result. You can kind of think how if you only slotted in some, but not all of the slots, then the build would feel incomplete. You might be able to reroll said substats at times, but regardless if you can or not, these will qualify as relics.
Oof, man. Oof. Now, flat health isn't the worst in the game, but man, I know he wanted that speed, bro. I know he wanted that speed on that hit set.
Again, I don't imagine most people will have trouble visualizing the differences between the two. With that out of the way, let's move on to the 5 tiers. Gear is how I'd classify how each gacha designs its gearing system. Obviously, searching for the worst one out there only makes sense when you can compare it to something it's worst to. Please note that this 5-tier list is not necessarily an objective best to worst list of game design, as some players may see things a bit differently than I do. But it's how I like to categorize the gearing mechanics in a gacha game. There will be pros and cons to each approach, but I will be disclosing which one I think is the worst at the end. This is also not an exhaustive list. I undoubtedly have not played every gacha game there is, so I'll be limiting myself to showing examples from the ones I'm already familiar with. Tier 1 is what I call the elementary.
Alright, let's see it.
This is the purest form of progression with virtually zero RNG involved.
Those are the ones
Tier
I
1
like.
gearing systems have either 0 or just one form of equipment needed on a character.
Like, I love those gacha games where as soon as you get the character, they already got their weapon, they already got their stuff on them. Honestly, it feels like Nikke a little bit. Like, outside of the overload gear, outside of the overload gear, once you break that 200 wall, you're set. You're quite literally set. And at that point, the only thing that's going to make your characters even stronger is if somehow you get some more cracked overload gear, which at a certain point, that's just not going to help anymore. Or if you just keep getting more copies of a character. That's really it. Because the character already comes with the gun that it has. The only thing that you're farming for is the materials, which you can do every single day, thank God. And the gear, like, that's it. Outside of that, it's pretty simple, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm glad it is.
But that equipment must be earned or bought with in-game currency.
That's even better. You can't wail for
gacha,
it. Games where you cannot wail for the gear will last a long time. Will last a very long time. Now, I know you can wail for gear in Epic 7, but that gear is nothing compared to the in-game gear that a lot of players have. Because I remember when they were selling gear in Epic 7 a little while back, and they're still kind of doing it now. People were freaking the hell out. Now, luckily, they fixed it, and even then, it wasn't that big of a deal because the gear that you get from doing that, while it was good, you were not going to be beating endgame players. It was just a catch-up mechanic for like new players. And even then, the game right now for Epic 7 is so easy to jump into that if I was to start a new account today, I would be up to the point where I'm at right now, which is basically endgame, within a month if I was just consistently playing. And even without me consistently playing, let's say that probably take me a year minimum, maybe even a couple months, because they just give you everything. Like, getting through the story is easy and all of that. Like, and then don't get me started on Bleach Brave Souls, which probably gotta be the most, like, Bleach Brave Souls. The longer that game's alive, the more stuff they give for new players. Because the thing with Bleach Brave Souls is you get orbs from characters. The more you expand your character roster, the more orbs you get. And as we get more and more characters, the more and more orbs you get. So somebody like me, who started out as a player 3 years ago, when it comes to getting orbs, it's a little bit harder, not completely hard, to get orbs and save them and make sure that I summon on the right character banners. It's a little bit harder, but also easier because I know what banners to summon on and which ones not to. But it's still harder to get orbs as soon as I spend them compared to a newer player, where as soon as you jump into the game, it's almost the 10th anniversary, you got 10 years worth of characters now, that every single time you get a new character, that's 150 orbs right off the rip. And if they have a resurrection, that's 200. Let's see, 75 plus 75. So 250 orbs if they have a resurrection, if I'm doing the math right. Easy. And there's a lot of characters with resurrections because there's a lot of old characters in the game. They're giving a lot of those characters resurrections. Like, it's crazy.
Directly purchased with cash. In addition, or lack thereof, there's no relic system at all. The two games I can accredit this tier to are games such as Reverse 1999 and the late Alchemy Stars. In Reverse 1999, the side tube is equipped by units to gain additional stats and passive skills. The side tube effects are concretely set, no RNG in that aspect. You must purchase these in the in-game shops, and it's not possible for side tubes to drop from the gacha. In Alchemy Stars, every unit's weapon is already pre-attached to their kit. It's not even necessarily a weapon, but rather just another avenue in which you can put upgrades to. I'll throw Arknights in here too, but just know that I've never played it myself, so I can't be 100% sure this is the model the game has.
I've heard a lot of good things about Arknights. For anybody who's played the game, let me know if it's any good. Because I'm down to explore a lot of games on this channel. I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't want to be just stuck in one genre, which is why I have a lot of games on here in the first place. You know, we got Withering Waves, we got Honkai Star Rail. Still need to complete the story for that. I'm dreading doing it, though, because I heard there's a lot of yapping. It might be something I have to do over stream. But plus I've been gone for 9 months because of the military stuff. But let's see, what other games? Let's see, Withering Waves. I don't even know if I want to get back into Genshin. I'm gonna be real. Like, I was invested into this story for the longest period of time, and I still love the game. It's just that the way it is right now, man, I don't know. I heard that they really scuffed up the last region they did after Fontaine. Like, we're not at Chesnai yet, as far as I know, but they really scuffed it up, so I'm just like, damn, man. Like, for the region of war, apparently it was just like a Pokemon region, like all happy and dizzy, and there's a little bit of some hype moments from what I've heard, but it wasn't what they brought it all out to be, like they did in the trailer, like all the way back when the game came out. If you know what that trailer is, you know, they made that region sound like it was about to be hella war and shit, but then when we got to that region, it's like, you know, where's the smoke at? You know, I'm here to fight. Where's the war? But I digress. Let me know if Arknights is any good, though. I might try it out for the first time, just do a video. And if it does well, we do more videos of it, you know. I'm down to try out anything at this point. Experimenting phase.
In order to make up for the lack of having an equipment gacha banner type, these games may make dupes more desirable to incentivize players to pull more copies of a character. Other than that, games with this model tend to be grindier to max out all the upgrades. For example, when you ascend a unit, their level resets back to 1 with their level cap increased, and you have to level them again, repeating for the total amount of ascensions they can undergo. Ultimately, you have to put in more XP for a full enhancement. The side tube slot in Reverse 1999 can also be limit broken and even duplicated to give bigger boosts with a special item. These are typically given out in limited controlled quantities. The selling point of this model is that, well, first, not a lot of gacha games do this, so just the novelty of it can draw some players in. Second, the upgrades are slow, but they're guaranteed. There's a long road ahead of you, but you can see the finishing line in the distance, with each upgrade you dump into a character inching you ever so slightly ahead. The drawback is that there's no variation to your daily routine. It can lead to the same dull moments of you just logging in, doing your dailies, putting in the upgrades, then just logging off. Unlike in...
That's basically what I do in Genshin, bro. I do not even explore that game anymore. And exploration is like majority of that game. It's literally based off of Breath of the Wild. And nobody can tell me otherwise. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. But that game's whole thing is exploration. But because the exploration and the way you have to get around is so bad, you don't even care about doing it anymore. Like, if you do not... And I have characters like Kazuha. I have characters like the librarian lady with the glasses, who I can't remember for some reason, who turns into like a bird. I have like 2 out of the 3. Hell, I even have Yelan, who's literally made to run fast to be able to get around stuff really quick. I have like 3 out of 4. Well, Sayu kind of does the same thing, but she doesn't do it as long. I have like 3 out of the 4, though, 5 stars, that make exploration really, really, at least tolerable. And I still can't do it, bro. Versus Withering Waves, where I'm flying around, I'm having fun, I'm just exploring stuff just to do it. I'm flying places just because I can do so. Yeah, I'm running on walls like I'm Spider-Man, and like it's just fun, you know. But I digress.
RNG relic system, there's no thrill of the what ifs of landing those godlike substats to excite you. Nonetheless, it is a design choice that some developers opt into, and taking Reverse 1999 or Arknights as an example, this model clearly can work very well. Tier 2, the traditional. The traditional approach is a callback to older gacha games while retaining elements of modern designs. Just like Tier 1, there is still no RNG relic system, but you are able to pull equipment from a gacha of sorts. The emphasis here is not that you have to pull it from the gacha, it's that you are able to at all. The games I'll accredit this.
So Epic 7 would be in Tier 1. Because you can't pull for gear. You can buy it, but it ain't going to be that good. It's going to be decent, but it's not going to be that good. But you cannot pull for gear. The only thing you can pull for in Epic 7, and the main selling point for Epic 7, is Moral Agora, which is what you need to power up your character's skills. And honestly, you can get that for free and through other content. And gear. And the Moonlight characters, because those are like the best characters in the game, as we all know. And even then, they've been making some crazy RGB characters that have been messing with the meta, which is why we got, all the nonsense we got with Moonlight, not Moonlight Flawn, but Afternoon Soak Flawn and whatnot. So Epic 7 is definitely going to be in Tier 1. And I think Bleach Brave Souls is Tier 2. Because you can summon for the gear. So yeah, Bleach Brave Souls is like Tier 2. But even then, with Bleach Brave Souls, I'm going to be real with you when I say this. The gear doesn't really matter that much. It really doesn't. It does, but it doesn't. It's hard to explain, but...
Tier 2 include examples such as Fate Grand Order and Limbus Company. The Craft Essence slot is a singular piece of equipment to boost the servant's abilities, and the Ego slot provides an active skill that can be used. While it is possible to equip more than one, only one can be used and egos cannot directly interact or affect one another, which does fall under my definition of equipment. However, both of these games still don't have any RNG relics to farm. Upgrades are still slow and guaranteed, but the introduction of equipment gacha can have its nuances in design. For one, you now have to consider not just characters to pull from the game's gacha, since now there is another avenue of upgrade that could be blocked behind additional monetization.
One thing I will give Bleach Brave Souls that they did well is they didn't tie any of the gear in Bleach Brave Souls to a certain character. They tied it to a class. So for anybody who's played Bleach Brave Souls, which I would assume is a lot of my audience, Bleach Brave Souls, for those of you guys who don't know, they have a gearing system for each class. So let's talk about, for instance, Quincy's, for instance, or Stern Ritters. They have gear specific to those classes, but you can put that gear on any of those classes as long as they're that same type. Like if you got a Sword Reaper, you can use the T set, and as long as it's in the same element, and even if it ain't in the same element, as long as it's part of the same unit, you can put that gear on them. They did really well with it. The only thing I would have to say is it's kind of annoying to have to summon for gear, but even then, they have the tickets that they give out so that sometimes you can get free gear from those tickets. Now, not all the time will you get good gear, but it's going to be at least decent enough to where you can be able to play through the game and even do some freaking competitive content. Like if you want to do brave battles, there's some pretty good gear that you don't need to have 5-starred in order to, be able to get through it. So I'll give them that.
The selling point is that these games can ease down on the requirement of pulling dupes of a character, since equipment gacha can make up a good chunk of its content and revenue as well. Overall, Tier 2 games can feel similar to Tier 1, but the addition of introducing equipment to gacha can have its distinctions. Moving on to Tier 3. This tier is what I call the moderate. Starting from now, these games do have relic systems, but feature character-only gachas. Equipment either doesn't exist or can only be farmed in-game. I will accredit Nikke, Heaven Burns Red, and Path to...
This is, definitely Nikke. I think Dokkan would be in this category too, if I'm correct. I think Dokkan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Dokkan's more of a character game more than anything. You want to be able to get an easy A of a character, so you want to get the character once and then you want to get him 4 more times so that you can be able to max out all this stuff. I might be wrong on that, But I'm pretty sure that'd be here. This would definitely be Nikke and Dokkan, at least the ones I've played.
Nowhere to this tier. Nikke's overload gear demands investment into rerolling its stats, which takes its respective currency, while also needing to farm the appropriate gear in random daily drops. HBR's accessories can also be rerolled, and gear rating is determined at random when it's crafted. Path to Nowhere's Crime Brands is a bit of an interesting case. While the stats are set, there are still set bonuses, requiring relic pieces belonging to the same set to reap its benefits. And drops can also be random. The selling point is that main upgrades usually don't take as long as Tier 1 and 2 games, as the randomness of the relic system can create an illusion that a full character build can be short, which sometimes does actually happen. A popular argument that can be made to defend this is that you often don't need the perfect relics to do the majority of content in the game.
And you don't. I could say for Nikke specifically, I've been playing the game for a while, and I could tell you that a lot of my characters don't have overload gear outside the ones I use the most, and I still clear the content pretty easy. And I haven't broken the 200 wall yet, by the way. I have not. But I still clear the content really easy because as long as my characters, either I have dupes of them or I have at least decent enough gear, I'm fine. And even in Dokkan, same thing. The only thing you gotta worry about is getting an easy A, which that's all luck based. But even then, even if you don't have an easy A of certain characters, if you have enough copies, or even just one, sometimes it depends on how decent a pull it is or how good the character is, you can go crazy.
And that's true. The main difference between having an RNG relic system and guaranteed progression is that for the former, once you upgrade a unit to its absolute maximum, while it is a slow process, you know that they are the most powerful version as they can be. When RNG is involved, there's a nagging feeling at the back of your mind that if only this relic had this stat, it would have been perfect. There's a lot more variability now. The upper limit of min-maxing has been blurred. These games may have a secondary upgrade system similar to equipment, but at the end of the day, you still only have to worry about pulling characters from the gacha.
Bro, when we get a rerun of Crown, bro, I'm making sure I max her out. I thought I had her completely maxed out. I only have her, and hilariously enough, this is still pretty good. I only have her, like, let's see, I got her once plus the other 2 times, so I've gotten her 3 times. So I need one more copy to have her whole entire thing, and even then, I think I got her recently. I need to check that. Because I think I have her. No, I got her. I lied. I think I got her at random, which is what I love Nikke for that. Like the fact that you can sometimes just get a pilgrim out of random. You know how many times I've gotten Modernia sometimes out of just some random summon? Like, holy crap. Hell, I even got recently, I got Rapunzel because they added the Nikkes into the normal summons. I got Rapunzel off of one of those, bro. Now, the only one I'm missing out of the originals. No, I think that's it. I think I got Rapunzel, and she was the only one I was missing. Oh, no, Red Hood. I still need her. Somehow, I have not pulled Red Hood this whole entire time I've played the game, which has been like over a year now. I feel like Zeoxys, bro. He couldn't pull Scarlet for the longest time, bro. My time's coming. Love Crown, though. I got her skin and everything. Once again, Epic 7, bro. If you're listening to this video, or even this guy's video, bro, put skins in the game, bro. If you want money, put skins in the game, bro. I don't care how y'all do it. Hell, collabs, too. We need more collabs. There are so many anime out there that are doing well. Get a collab with one of them, bro. Get a collab, bro. I don't care. Bleach specifically, though. If we got a Bleach 1000 Year Blood War freaking collab with Epic 7, that'd be insane.
Tier 3 games can allow you to have a taste of feeling the immense amount of satisfaction of completing a character build or landing those perfect stats, while also not having to worry about another type of gacha banners. Of course, just like Tier 1, they can also make pulling duplicates more desirable in order to make up for the lack of equipment gacha. Tier 4, the Contemporary.
Boy.
This category is what I
Here
like to
we go.
call the Genshitification
here we
of
go,
gacha
bro.
games. When MiHoYo released
This is easily good. And this is HSR, so this Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3rd, Genshin Impact, Withering Waves, Zelda Zone Zero. Basically any game that was made after Genshin Impact came out. Because Genshin Impact is the Fortnite of gacha right now. Where every game that has come out has literally copied their system in some form or fashion. And either have made it better or done it worse. And it's so far, based on what I've seen, Genshin is still the worst one out of all of the ones I've seen or played so far. Even Punishing Great Raven has done a really good job. Like they copied they copied where they took some of the stuff from Honkai Impact 3rd, and they're still doing pretty well. Though I only played the game a couple of times. It was decent, but it didn't really grow on me like Honkai Star Rail and Withering Waves. Withering Waves for me was like, in my opinion, the version of Punishing Grey Raven that I wanted. And honestly, Aether Gazer is pretty alright too. I'm gonna be real with y'all. They do pretty good, though they're not as popular. So, but they're popular enough to stay up and run. I have a lot of good stuff in that game that I just play every once in a blue moon. So, I digress. But I'm about to say Genshin definitely the worst out of all of these, though.
Genshin Impact, something must have clicked for a design like this. While this system has appeared before, it's not until the artifact system dropped until it saw widespread use. Most of the modern releases will fall under the Tier 4 category. Here, you are able to pull equipment from the gacha, and at times even a dedicated banner for it, and there is a relic system with RNG substats.
They need to get rid of those RNG substats, like the tuning system in the tuning system in freaking Withering Waves. If they get rid of that, and then they also allow you to be able to just farm the materials and farm the level up materials for your echoes. Hey, it might be cinema, bro. I'm holding up my hands in the air for those of you guys who ain't looking at me right now. It's absolute cinema if they do that, because I feel like that's, and the story is pretty good too. So actually, they fixed that problem. So hey, I'm just saying. And honestly, it's hilarious to me that they're copying Genshin's format. Because yes, it is the Fortnite, but you also got to keep in mind, it only got as popular as it did due to the fact that it was during the whole pandemic. I'm not even going to say the word because I might freaking screw up if I can get views on this shit. I don't know. I've seen a lot of that. But I digress. They were going crazy during the pandemic when everybody was inside. That could have been anybody. Genshin just so happened to be the ones who got lucky enough to get the most attention during that point in time, especially considering they had dropped the preview, the Breath of the Wild nonsense and all that. But that could have been any game, bro. That could have been shit. That could have been Honkai Impact 3rd. That could have been any other game that came out during that time. Hell, that could have been during the pandemic. Shit, that could have been a Tower of Fantasy if it came out during that time, bro. It just got lucky. It dropped in the perfect storm. I've been saying it forever. But for some reason, I don't know why. I do not know why, but everybody's copying this formula, even though now everybody's not stuck inside anymore. It's like, once again, some games are doing it better. They're taking what Genshin does bad, and they're like, we ain't gonna do that, and some ain't. So, I digress.
Struck a balance in monetization and late game grind, because indeed, this model is shown to be very effective. So effective that a lot of other games copy it too. MiHoYo's other modern games, Kuro games with Withering Waves, Snowbreak, Girls Frontline 2, all share the same concepts. Whether this is a design choice you agree with or not, after the wide popularization of this gearing system, I can guarantee you that most of 2025 and all future releases will follow suit. This is the Pandora's box of player retention techniques. Given just how successful and
this is like the Call of Duty, bro.
This model
is like
has
the Call of Duty and Halo.
All gacha developers until the end of time would either have to sneak a few
everybody trying to put a battle royale in their games, bro.
The gearing system
battle royale and battle pass.
That being said, this
That's
method of
this
player retention clearly works quite well. Tier 4 seems to be a comfortable spot in which developers will try to aim for in order to have a good chance at getting their game in the spotlight. And why not? All the previous examples I mentioned are immensely popular. It clearly works, and players are generally okay with it. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. When gacha games first started...
Problem is, though, is if your game ain't appealing and it doesn't appeal to the right players, because your game needs to not only sustain the player base it gets off the hype it gets, but it needs to make sure that it keeps it like that for years. Because here's the thing, if Genshin didn't keep its player base the way it did, it would have been cooked.
Started doing this model, it was annoying, but it was novel at the time. There just wasn't anything quite like it, and the niche audience that played it was willing to deal with it. As more games do RNG relic systems, player tolerance of it goes down. which means that developers need to reach some form of compromise to make it look more manageable. There might be some way to get rare weapons for free, relics might be very easy to obtain, or ways to reroll the substats. From a competitive standpoint, they need to design a way to entice players to come back every day while also appearing slightly more appealing than the competition.
Which is exactly what Wuthering Waves have done, which is why you see Genshin now just coming out of nowhere and making all these surveys and trying to update the game, and you're seeing them add stuff that WoWa has because they're losing players. They're losing players and they're losing money. I can gladly say that I haven't been buying the Welcome Wish on that game for a very long time. I still haven't been buying it. Hell, I don't even buy the skins in the game. I'm pretty sure they got some skins in there that are some for some of the characters I have, but I just don't buy the skins in the game anymore. I don't do anything in that game. Like, I haven't even touched it, and I have it on my PS5. Like, I downloaded it on my PS5, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. Like, I logged in once, I looked at my characters, I walked around a bit, and then I just jumped off and hopped straight into Withering Waves, bro. And that's what a lot of people are doing. I know some people that, they would be going out there doing their dailies every single day. And granted, they did make it easy to do your dailies, but it's like they just stopped, bro. It's like it just got so draining because doing it just felt boring. I'm gonna be real with y'all. The reason I stopped, like, I can only speak for myself, is because it got so boring to the point where I just couldn't do it no more. The combat was just, it's 2 buttons, bro. There's no dodging, there's no parrying, there's no, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to it. And yes, while that is good for players because it makes it easy for the people to get into, it's just like, it doesn't keep you entertained. And the one thing that Withering Waves does, I know a lot of people are probably tired of me comparing it to, is like the combat. When you're grinding for stuff, it's entertaining enough. It's entertaining enough to keep you wanting to come back. It has like that Bayonetta, Devil May Cry feel that a lot of people who play those kind of games, and even some stuff from like Elden Ring, like with the dodging and everything, or the parrying, like it's entertaining enough to keep people coming back because they're not gonna get tired of farming. Because of that combat being good. And don't even get me started on exploration. I was yapping about that earlier. We can fly in Withering Waves. You can run up walls. You can freaking use a grappling hook. You can glide just like in Genshin. You got 4 different ways of traversing. And the best part is you can do that with any character. Compared to Genshin, on the other hand, where it's like, oh, you have to have Kazuha in order to be able to fly. You have to have, Scaramouche in order to fly. You have to have, who was that one lady who could turn into a bird? You have to have her in order to jump 3 times in the air. You gotta have, Yelan in order to sprint really fast. Like, you can literally run out of stamina by sprinting in Withering Waves versus not Withering Waves, in Genshin Impact versus Withering Waves. Once you start sprinting, you ain't losing stamina off of that. It's just that there's a lot, bro. I could go into it, but I'm not going to because this video would be 2 hours if I did.
If there's a set formula that developers can follow when it comes to designing a gacha game, it would be Tier 4. The main advantages come from pulling duplicates to being more optional, and your daily routine is shaken up a little, even if it can be for the worse. You don't know what kind of relic substats you'll get, but there's no trickery, no additional layer on top of that. The RNG aspects only come in a few steps, and it can even be thrilling to land a good relic. You can imagine it as like a miniature spike of dopamine, and can almost feel as good as landing a rare unit from the gacha. Of course, RNG can also work both ways. You might be done with the character build in one try, and that would cut down on the grind immensely. But RNG can...
Or, I'm gonna just use Epic 7 as the example this time around. Or you could get a gear with speed on it, and it all runs into flat HP. Or you can get like a really good piece of gear that has crit damage, crit rate. It has whatever good stat you have on it, and it has speed, but the main stat is flat defense. You love to see it, people. You love to see it.
Can also work against you. If you happen to be unlucky, you could be farming for weeks or even months before getting your desired results. another possible plus side, and I'm stretching it a little bit here, is that since most new releases use this model, your knowledge on how the gearing system works is shared to some degree. You have the basic gist of what to do without the game explaining it to you. If every new game does this, then you have a general roadmap on how to get to where you want to be. Now you might be
Honestly, I'm gonna be real, that's a plus and a minus, because let's say another game comes out with the same systems that these other games does, but then it changes up the system that it has to level up gear, or how to get gear, or how how you're able to level up your characters and whatnot. While it is a good thing that a lot of these newer games that are coming out copy Genshin's format, so it makes it easier to get into those games because you already know what to expect. If it's the same thing, it's just going to get boring just as fast. What this format needs to do is it needs to take what Genshin did. It needs to take Genshin as the base and then do everything better. Look at the other games that are out. Zelda Zone Zero, Genshin Impact, Punishing Grey Raven. Look at those three games because those are the three that I know of right now that are doing really well. Take what they all do well, learn what they do bad, and take all of that and put it into a game, bro. And I promise you, you're going to succeed. Because that's what players have been asking from these games in the first place, especially Genshin. Not too much that I've heard from Punishing Grey Raven or Withering Waves, so they both have problems of their own. And Zelda Zone Zero. But, yeah.
wondering. Tier 4 system sounds pretty complete. It doesn't seem like the gearing system can get more complicated than that. Alright, psych man, if you've covered 4 tiers already, what on earth is tier 5? Well, prepare yourself.
I'm curious on this, because it cannot get worse.
The bullshit. While everyone may have their tolerance levels of complexity of late game farming, Tier 5 games take the cake for me for being some of the most excessive and convoluted systems I've seen.
I gotta see this, because this cannot get any worse.
All of the aforementioned features of Tier 4,
this can't
there's
get any
some
worse.
kind of extra layer or complexity or annoyance to take navigating the gear system to the next level. I will give a few examples of this, but just know that I'd actually enjoy some of the games I'll talk about. This portion of the video is a critique purely on the gearing system and nothing else.
Alright, let's see
There's
them.
a handful of titles I'd fit into this category,
Let's see them.
but to be honest, there's likely 1 or 2 ways it can annoy you in its gearing system, but it's still manageable. Such as how in the PvP gacha game Epic 7,
Oh
you have
god,
to
really?
pay gold to unequip gear.
No, okay. You don't got, well, actually, do you still got, I think you still gotta do that. No, I might be wrong. Okay, so here's the thing with this. I do agree with him on this. How the fuck did Epic 7 get into Tier 5? Maybe I just haven't noticed because I don't play the game every single day. I play it every once in a blue moon. I just have it sitting on auto like I do right now. But for newer players, it used to be they had to pay for the gear switches. But I think it is now for new players specifically. For a certain time period, you have this bonus up where, excuse me real quick, you have a certain time period where you don't have to pay to take gear off, which is why the game got a boost in players recently, because they added all this new quality of life features that have made, once again, Epic 7 really, really, really easy for new players to get into. Now, I don't know what else he's going to talk about here, but as far as paying for gear to get removed, that system is gone. I don't know if Summoner's War has that. I'm pretty sure they do. If I'm correct, they do. But, yeah, that system, it's in the game, but it's not as annoying because you don't have to start out doing that anymore. You still have to do it, but you don't have to start out doing it. And honestly, there's a really easy way to farm gold in this game. So, you don't even got to worry about having to run out of gold. Though it is still kind of annoying that you got to pay for it. But 9 times out of 10, at least for me, I can only speak for myself here. I don't know what his experience is, but I don't know about you, but I'm not switching gear around a lot of the time. Usually the gear that I have on a character is the gear I have on a character, unless I need to swap it around maybe once or twice for certain key events. But that's just me.
Wouldn't be that bad if it was a single player game, but due to the nature of its main mode being PvP, gear quality is extremely important. When I tried out solo leveling Arise, there were a total of 8 relic pieces, all with their own substats attached. Normally, I wouldn't have passed this game to this tier by that alone if it weren't for the fact that when you upgrade an artifact, you have to use a special currency on top of gold.
Oh,
and
hell
the
no.
upgrade could fail, its failure rate increasing the higher you upgrade.
Okay, now the question is that special currency able to be paid for? Well, not paid for. Well, yeah, no. Does it have to be paid for? Like, if you want a lot of it, does it have to be paid for, like, with real money, or do you just get it in game? That's the real question.
If the upgrade fails, you don't get your resources back.
Because this is the reason Summoner's War is a problem. Because you have to use your money in order to get your gear up, and even then it can fail. And I'm pretty sure even Soccer Spirits had this problem, but the only reason people didn't complain about it when Soccer Spirits was a thing, because gold, they just gave it to you, man. They just gave you it. And even now, with the game still being up, but they're not updating it anymore, they'll just give you free stuff. I'm going to be real with you. They just give you a lot of free stuff. But even while I was playing it in its heyday, I didn't have that much of an issue with it because they gave you so much gold that you weren't really even paying attention to it. At least for me. But, yeah. No, this system where it could fail, you got to use it. Oh, yeah, no. We're good on that.
Have to keep going until it succeeds. If you think these are bad, there is a game I would like to award the crown to for the most complex gearing system I've seen so far.
Summoner's War?
I love Brown Dust 2.
Oh, really?
I had a blast
well, then
going
again,
through
this
the story
game.
and
Okay,
being
let me
introduced to the
let him
cast.
cook.
This game does a lot of things well, primarily its generosity and fan service elements. Seriously, if you think Nikke has it nailed down, Brown Dust 2 is also
Brown
not
Dust 2
pulling
got
any
it
punches.
for real.
I returned to the game at its 1.5 anniversary just to claim the rewards and revisit it. And
Brown
one thing
Dust
that's
2
kept
really,
me from
really
making
got
it a mainstay in my catalog, and why I'm most likely not making a follow-up video on it, is due to its gearing system.
Yeah.
Let me break it down. Every unit can have a maximum of 5 people.
The gear system in this game, man, I don't pay attention to it much because I barely play the game. Plus, I only hop in to summon for all the stuff because they give you so much free stuff every single patch. But when I told you when I hopped into the game for the first time, I didn't know how to gear my characters at all. I had to go to the subreddit. I had to go to Reddit, the brain dead place, to figure out how to freaking gear my characters. Now, don't get me wrong, Reddit can sometimes be really helpful, but 9 times out of 10 it ain't. Now, luckily for me, I got the one time it was, so.
Pieces of gear. One of which is the equipment that each character will have their exclusive, which is to be pulled from the gacha.
Yeah.
Only that respective character can equip their exclusive equipment.
Yeah, you can't.
In order to
Certain
craft gear
characters
at
can't
all,
share
you have to
stuff
gather
at
enough
all.
raw materials. This can be farmed via various maps using daily stamina. Then, since UR tier gear is the only one worth considering in the late game, you'll have to convert the materials to its higher grade level with a dust currency. For UR
I
gear
didn't even bother
specifically,
doing all
you
this,
also need
man.
a special crystal currency
Yeah,
that's given out in events and other activities in controlled.
Bro, trying to gear stuff in Brown Dust 2 is like. It's like Palpatine's plan for anybody who's seen that video. Hold on, actually, you know what? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go and see that video right now. Hold on, let me. This is basically Brown Dust 2 in a nutshell when it comes to trying to gear in that game, bro. This is it right here, and this video is almost long as shit. All right, y'all ready for this? This is it right here.
Don't worry, bro. It's all a part of Palpatine's plan. Can I just say that I fucking hate this way of writing? Oh, let's make it so our villain can predict the future. So then when anything happens that contradicts information we're given, we can just say, oh, it's fine. He knew it was gonna happen. See? Oh, he killed the Jedi and took over the galaxy. All according to
wrong plan.
But if you line it up piece by piece, it's the biggest fucking joke in the whole series.
Well, is he gonna talk about it?
Palpatine's entire timeline. First, he supports the Trade Federation so he can control space
You know, this is actually good
trade.
enough.
However, the Jedi shut down the Federation, so he starts a new organization of planets that don't like the Republic. At the same time, he's building a secret army. So now he has 2 armies, an army of clones and an army of robots. Oh, but Padme is going to make things difficult, so he has to kill her. But he messes up and doesn't kill her. But that's okay. He actually wants Anakin to get close to her and fall in love, but then he tries to have her killed anyway right after that. You're really lucky that none of these Pokemon ate her, because then Anakin would just be a good guy forever, and your plan wouldn't work. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Padme doesn't matter. He unveils both armies at the same time and he makes them fight each other secretly. And over the next few years, he orchestrates an entire war between two armies that he secretly funded so that people will democratically vote for him to be king of space so that he can end the war that he started with his two secret armies. And then as king of space, he kills all the Jedi and gets rid of both armies. And then he rules for like 20-ish years and then Anakin throws him in a hole and he dies. There are so many holes in that plan that I don't even have time to break it all down. It would take an entire video.
That's basically gearing in. That's basically gearing when it comes to Brown Does too. I could honestly do this version because this version is even more funny. But let's see, is this the plan? I think this is the plan.
So I'm gonna have everybody try to follow along with me.
Yeah, this
real
is
quick.
it
So
right
Palpatine
here.
needs Padme dead, but he doesn't want to do it himself. So he asks Count Dooku to go kill Padme. But Count Dooku doesn't want to do it himself. So Count Dooku asks Jango Fett to go kill Padme. But Jango Fett doesn't want to do it himself. So he asks his shapeshifter friend to go kill Padme. But the shapeshifter sends a robot to go kill Padme. And if you really want to be an asshole and get even more granular, the droid says, I'll send these little bugs to go kill Padme. Palpatine sends a man who sends a man who sends a shapeshifter who sends a robot who sends bugs to go kill Padme. And what's even funnier is that after they chase the robot and the shapeshifter, Jango has a chance to go kill Padme. But instead, he goes
This
out
is
of
this
his
is
way
gearing.
to assassinate the person he hired to assassinate Padme.
This is gearing right here.
Secretly genius these prequels are. Many original ideas these movies have.
The plan was trash. There is so much that could have gone wrong with that plan. I'm not even gonna go into it. That's basically gearing
other
here.
activities in controlled quantities. After that, when crafting gear, its actual rating is randomly rolled from 4 possibilities, from grade +1 to +4, 4 obviously being the best. Your odds here are not very good. As you can see, since the most late game builds will want +3s or 4s, you actually only have a 20% chance of landing it, with 4s having a measly 5% chance of dropping. Since there's no way to upgrade the tier of gear from a +1 to +2 for example, what you get from crafting will remain that way forever. You can dismantle gear, but you don't get the original crystal back from forging it to begin with. So after you get a +3 or 4 relic, you're far from done. Now you can level it to 9 while boosting its stats, but not so fast. Each upgrade attempt could fail, and you just have to keep going until you get it. After reaching level 9, the total amount of stats given to the relic's main stat is still not set in stone. It's also random from a range. The gear is now rated based on 3 letter grades,
But so yeah,
with
you gotta.
S obviously being the best. You now have to
You want
reroll the
triple
letter
S.
grades using
You
gold.
want triple
This
S.
process also uses solo leveling Arise's method of requiring a different powder currency. Now getting 3 S's is very unrealistic, but even if you go for triple A's, it's still gonna sink a bit of your gold reserve. So after all that, surely we're done, right?
Nope.
Well, there's still the relic substats.
Yep.
Now using a different crystal currency and more gold,
Bro.
you can reroll the 3
If it wasn't for the fact that all this currency you could get in game, bro. Oh lord, this game probably would not survive even with the waifu aspect. Because at that point, it'd basically be just a pay-to-win game.
substats of the relic. You can lock a few in place, but doing so will greatly increase the cost per roll. Once that's done, you just have to do this 4 more times for each character. If you use the in-game link to the page showcasing the odds and probabilities, you'll soon realize that maybe it was for the better if you didn't know the rates instead. The only positive I can think of is that you might feel a sense of satisfaction or superiority that you're able to navigate and conquer a system like this.
No, bro. The only thing you're about to feel like is how much time did you just waste doing all that gearing up. When you could have went into any other game, grabbed whatever gear you need to throw on your character, level it up, as long as it got the stats you need, and then move on. This is complicated as all hell. I have that character, by the way.
Plus, since Brown Dust 2's units are costume-based, you only have to get a full set and all of that character's variants will be wearing it. I'm sure someone can make the argument that you can swap gear around, so it's not as bad as I make it out to be. But what I am trying to say is that the existence of this gearing system is what annoyed me enough to not want to stay. I'd still recommend giving the game a shot, as all the other positives still make it worthwhile. But my award for the worst gearing system so far goes to Brown Dust 2. So what have we learned today? Well, game designers must strike a balance between healthy player engagement or just plain annoying to play. The next time you see a separate equipment gacha or RNG relics, you might think that the game doesn't need this junk to be a fun game. The experience would have been so much more enjoyable if...
Bro, imagine if Genshin had that system. Oh god, you thought that farming for freaking artifacts was bad before. Oh no, we ain't done yet. Granted, I was putting Genshin at the top of my list when this video started. But nah, yeah, no, Brown Dust 2 got it. Hell, you could throw Epic 7 in there too, because Epic 7 is just as bad. Not Epic 7. Summoner's War, because Summoner's War is just as bad as them.
If these weren't present, and you'd be absolutely correct. These games don't need these mechanics to be the most fun it can be. It's a small stain on an otherwise spotless experience. However, the gearing system goes hand in hand with the live service nature of mobile games, and it's a compromise that everyone must be accustomed to. So what kind of gacha gamer are you? Do you tolerate having slow but guaranteed progression in a system without any RNG involved, or are you a thrill seeker?
I think I'd have to say I think I'm in all categories except for the last one. I am not doing all that. I am not doing all that. I think I'm in all categories when it comes to this. But there's only so much I could tolerate. And I bet that every person's tolerance is different. Which is why you had people, hell, you still have people shilling for Genshin, even though there's so much wrong for that game. But if I had to say what I'm most comfortable with, for me, it would have to be Tier 1 and 2. Tier 3, maybe, the most. Because for those games, I don't have to do all this mental gymnastics to get the gear that I want. The only reason why I can tolerate Withering Waves is because it's so much easier to get what I need to get than Genshin. Not to mention, it's actually more fun to do it. Like, that's the one aspect that separates... If you're talking the Tier 4, the one aspect that separates, or more than one actually, because the story is better too. But outside that, if we're talking about just gear alone, the one aspect that makes gearing and Withering Waves more enjoyable than Genshin is just how you do it. The gameplay itself specifically, and the way you have to get it. Outside of that, they're pretty much all in the same. But once again, Withering Waves took what they saw Genshin was doing wrong and made it better, so hey.
That enjoys chasing the electrifying moments of landing that perfect artifact. Let me know if you like the trend that most modern gachas are following, or which model you enjoy engaging with the most. If you wish to catch more gacha related content, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and as always, have fun out there.
Alright, great video. I'll leave the link down below, but I forgot that. But once again, I said it in the beginning, I think, a little bit. Maybe I didn't. But Brown Dust 2, why I've played it, I played the story, bro. I'm going to be real. I did not care about gearing at all. And when I did care, I will say that was the most annoying thing I've ever seen. I just said nope to all of that. I said nope. I'm just going to get my characters to level 80, and I'm going to call it a day. But without further ado, I'm going to call this video a day, because it's long enough as it is. And I'll see you guys in the next one.